We are live.
Great. I don't see it yet, but there we go.
We are live. We've been live for 20 seconds. Hello, everybody.
Hope everyone is doing well. See, we got a few people in here, which is good to see. So this live stream, basically, we're just going to be talking with Gerry and learning about how he invests in the stock market and sort of the reasons he invests, what his goals are, and some stuff like that, just to get an idea of sort of someone else's perspective on the stock market and what they do. Obviously, on channel, I've mostly talked about stuff I do, so I thought it'd be interesting to get some different perspectives. So if you just want to introduce yourself, Gerry, and how you got into the stock market.
Sure. Name's Gerry, and Retire with Less on YouTube. You can pretty much find me anywhere on social media under Retire with Less, not worthless. A lot of people confuse that. I guess at a quick glance, it kind of gets you there. But Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube is all Retire with Less. Don't do TikTok. Don't do none of that kind of stuff. But got into investing in. I'm an old guy, so I kind of feel like the parent giving some fatherly advice here, right? I'm in my mid 40s. I'm 46 right now, and I only started investing in 2018. Okay, so you're talking. Let's do math. I was 42, right? And I was sitting in my shop. I had a shop at the time, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? What am I going to do here in the next, I'm 42 years old, pretty much at my age, right? If you look at life, it's like a bell curve, right? I'm already up here, crescenting the the top, right? For the most part. So, that's when I started looking at stock market. I started researching, okay, let's look at Social Security. Let's look at my finances. Everything was screwed up, totally in debt, all that stuff. So, moral of that story is, I'm glad there's people like you, Frank, that are encouraging, especially the young people. Start now. It's really, a lot of the things that people say, right, is because I did it. I did it for 20 years or more. I'll get to it next year, or I'll do it next year. That can wait. I need that new car right now. That car's nice, right? And you do that and you make that excuse for 20 years, and next thing you know, you're 42 years old sitting there going, what the hell are you going to do? So that's what got me kind of pushed into it. Started looking at alternative ways and frugal ways of living, things like that. So since 2018, paid off all our debt, started saving massively, reduced our expenses. Even though I'm living in an expensive state like California, my expenses are actually quite low comparatively to most people. So there's just a lot of things that you can do to improve your financial standing without just figure out what you can work on now, right? And you'll find once you start doing that snowball thing and things start opening up, you start learning more things and things start falling into place to where you can see at least a light at the end of the tunnel, right? Instead of sitting there when I was 42 going, what the hell am I going to do? I'm screwed, right? So now it's not that way. So that's my parental spiel today.
So initially, you were basically just trying to like improve your financial situation, you would say, and it's kind of transformed into actually having like a concrete plan, or sort of,
Yeah,
from my understanding.
somewhat concrete. I trade a lot of options nowadays. I kind of morphed into that over the years. And the reason for that is because I'm very close to retirement. You can almost say that I'm retired now. I don't have a job. Um, I do earn money in other ways like YouTube and stock options, and I'm on the tail end of my business that I had. I'm really actually shutting it down, but I could have opportunities there to make money. Um, so my thing is more, let me hold on to what I got, and because in it could be in the next year or two, I plan on buying an RV and traveling the country. That's what we plan on doing. Um, it's just something that me and my wife wanted to do because neither of us, we're raising kids. My youngest is still in the house. He's 16, gonna be 17 in a couple of months. But we started thinking, what are we going to do after that? Right? We're sitting here in a big, not big, but 1,700 square foot 3-bedroom house, right? And if he leaves, well, what are we going to do? We're just going to sit here in this big old house and look at each other? No, we got to figure out what to do. And we decided that we were going to buy an RV and actually travel the country. And that will actually uh, kind of lower our expenses too. I've done some budgeting on that, and so that will actually lower our expenses than what they are now. We won't have another mouth to feed, that type of thing. So it's really doable and viable for us. And then we'll see. I got plans. I got things that I want to do. But yeah.
So you just watching your YouTube channel over the past year or two. It's probably how long I've been watching, but you were originally like mostly just invested in stocks, and now you're more into like the trading options. So what kind of, I guess, uh, made you want to make that change or something like that, you know?
The March 2020 crash, because I pretty much lost 50% in that. Just boom, right off the bat. I was before March 2020, I was chasing high yield. The higher the yield, the better. I was in all kinds of REITs and crappy energy companies, and they all just went boom. I mean, hindsight 2020. If I would have held on to those, I probably would have been fine today. Um, but I didn't want to live through that again. Right now, of course, the market's going to crash. It's going to affect everybody, but um, that got me into looking at options and building my portfolio that way. And to me, I know there's a lot of people that don't trade options, but to me, it's less risky. I know when most people hear options, they think, oh, it's high risk. You're going to lose all your money. You're going to blow up your account and whatever. But to me, like, for instance, let's say I have $100,000 portfolio. I would not sleep well at night if I were totally invested in the market at this point in my life, right? Now, if I were, in my early 20s like you, yeah, throw it all in the market and just, go to school, make money, and keep going. But for me, I couldn't see my portfolio take a 50% hit and be comfortable with it, with me being wanting to retire and hit the road and travel in the next, handful of years. So that to me was a much safer, it feels much safer. I'm able to sleep weller. Is that a word? Gooder? Is gooder a word? I'm able to sleep better at night, knowing that my portfolio is not fully exposed to the stock market. Now, I do have some investments. I do own some ETFs. I'm in QQQM, DGRO, even QILD a little bit, but that's about it. And it only takes up about, I want to say, 15% of my entire net worth. The rest are in my options account generating income. Now we're having a bad month, just like everybody's having a bad month in the stock market this month, pretty much. So, you just have to be patient. So that's kind of how that evolved.
Yeah, I definitely understand like the not wanting to be fully in the stock market, like especially when you're trying to use that money, sometime soon. My parents are sort of in a similar situation, I guess, but uh,
Yeah, it's
I would say,
the older you get, the closer to retirement you get, the more you want to hold on to the money.
yeah,
You don't want it to be at risk. So um, I had a full year of trading options last year. I did not beat the S&P 500, right? I almost matched it. And that was perfectly fine with me because, like I said, all of that money, if I were have all of my portfolio in the S&P 500, I'd be sitting here like this every day looking at the market like, oh crap, right? So, and it wasn't like that at all for me last year. I'm a lot more comfortable and at ease.
yeah. One of the things that sort of just like makes sense about options to me is it's sort of similar to like what attracts me to, I guess, like dividend stocks, and we're just like other stocks that don't pay dividends, is like you're constantly like realizing part of that, those gains, and you're not just like waiting and waiting and waiting, and then if there's a crash, then you just kind of lost all your progress. You're kind
Yeah.
of like realizing some of that along the way and slowly building it up,
I
which
would
just
definitely I would definitely encourage everybody to learn it. Learn the selling premium side, not buying options. Learn the selling options. I would definitely encourage that. It could be a game changer. I mean, you know, I made something like $22,000 last year in the options market, and I don't want to say there were any hiccups or I don't want to say that there was none of that, like stumbles or bad trades or anything like that. Yeah, that those things happen. But for me, I think getting paid to potentially own a stock is a wonderful thing, right? So you got a $50 stock, right? And you sell a put option for 45, and they pay you $50 to do it, and you're obligated to buy those shares at $45. So you got paid to buy something cheaper if it were to reach that point. And I think that's a awesome thing to learn. So I encourage everybody learn it. It's just even if you don't like it, at least it's another feather in your educational cap on finances, and I think it's a great thing.
that is a that's like an analogy I've not heard before. Feather in your educational cap. That's a good one.
Just came up with it right here on Retire with Less and Frank Mularcik live stream.
I know like my teachers would always say talk about like have another like math tool in your math toolbox or something like that. But
Yeah.
that's a I like that one. So you mostly are just in options, and you mostly are just kind of trading those options within like 45 days, you'd say most of the time. Sort of
Yeah.
just shorter term stuff.
For the most part, it's a 45-day option lifespan. Sometimes those get extended, like right now. If you notice the market's, correcting in a way, right? So that's the great thing about options. I know there's probably a lot of your viewers are not going to understand, but the great thing about options is, even though, like that example I just gave, even if the stock price went down to 45, you literally don't have to buy the stock. You can do it again. You can buy that option back, do it again, sell it for 40 and still make money. So that's what I'm doing. Um, I had a $90 commitment to buy ARK-K, right? It started falling. Now I'm in an $85 commitment to buy ARK-K. It's still falling. and I'm probably going to move it to an $80 commitment and then probably to a 75. So you don't actually have to ever own shares in options. So that's kind of the beauty of it to me, is you don't actually have to fulfill your commitment to buy the shares. You can, as long as you have money, you can get it done.
Yeah, and if you do fulfill that commitment, if you do buy the shares, then you can just turn around and sell calls on that and keep making
You
money.
can.
So
Correct. Absolutely.
it's just kind of a revolving strategy. That's why they call it the wheel, I guess. Just keeps going
Yeah.
around.
Just keeps going round and round.
Ryan wants to know what your thoughts are on dividend stocks.
Who? Oh, you can click on
Ryan.
those. You can click on those.
Oh,
There
yeah,
you
there you
go.
go.
What are your thoughts on dividend stocks? I love dividend stocks. I think, especially for younger people, if you get into good dividend growth stocks, not high yield stocks, good dividend solid growth stocks. A lot of the companies that Frank actually analyzes all the time. Um, but you have to understand, as a younger person, that's great because you have a lot of time frame to invest in and build up your account and to make those dividends matter, right? When you get into your 20, 30 years down the road, those dividends are going to be huge. Someone like me who just started 4 years ago, there's no way I can make up that time, right? Unless I had a huge amount of money, which I don't have, right? So as a younger person in your early 20s or whatever, and you're starting, you have a ton of time to make that dividend snowball and compound, and that's a beautiful thing. um Otherwise, for someone like me, I'm going to need, I would need like $1 million to live on dividend stocks, right? If you figure you can get 4%, right, as a current yield, that's 40 grand a year. I would need $1 million. So that's very unrealistic for me, but for someone that's 20 years old and has their whole future ahead of them, it's very doable.
Yeah, that's something, like you said, about starting young. For like a lot of people, maybe not people that are watching right now, because since my channel is more focused on dividend stocks in general, but I think a lot of people have the perception that like dividend stocks don't grow much, and so when you're young, you should like invest in like riskier stuff, which I mean, that can certainly work, but at the same time, like you just have so much time when you're young to just take advantage of like that slow growth of the dividend stocks. And oftentimes you can still invest in companies that are, growing fairly quickly and increasing their dividend a lot, which can really help your like yield on cost, obviously.
Yeah,
So
the hard part is picking the right ones, right? As far as growth stocks are concerned, right?
yeah,
Because you don't know what the next Amazon is, you don't know what the next
yeah.
Tesla is, you have no
Oh
idea.
yeah. People are
you
like,
know
oh, if you invested in Amazon 20 years ago, you'd be filthy rich. It was like, okay, what's the chance you actually invested in Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, Amazon was just a bookseller.
Yeah,
Nobody had any idea that Amazon was going to be what they are. So, can you identify the next one that's going to, be that Amazon? Most likely not.
yeah,
So, I would say invest in a growth ETF. Just do it that way.
yeah. That's true. That's definitely something that would work and like be a good strategy for more growth focused
hmm
investing.
So, where are we at here?
What is your favorite option strategy and why? I think you already
Uh,
talked about it a little bit,
Yeah,
but
selling cash secured puts. Favorite option strategy. It always will be. Um, uh, the trick with options is to sell stocks. I mean, sell options on solid companies, solid ETFs, solid indexes. You can get into some real trouble when you, just like I talked about with the high yield thing, right? That burned me back in March of 2020. You can sell options and, collect a lot of premium on some really crappy companies, and you're going to end up with the same boat, right? So there's a reason why some companies pay you more for those, or some, I shouldn't say companies, some investors pay you more for those option contracts, is because, it's a crappier company, for lack of a better word. And that's really what it
Yeah.
is. So,
Yeah, for sure. I definitely know what you're talking about there. My options account is pretty small, so it's been a struggle with the puts, but
that's a difficult part, especially when you
yeah,
got, 5 grand, 10 grand. That's difficult, because you want to see it grow, right? And then you
yeah,
you see these $5 stocks, and you're like, oh, I can look at the premium that's selling, right? That's giving out. And really,
well,
it's you're kind of teetering on, real risk there, right? Because that $5 stock, do you really want to own that stock?
yeah,
you know
well,
it, if it came down to it. So,
yeah. The problem I had, honestly, the past few months was just like allocating too much of my account in one position, just since it's like a smaller account. That's
yeah, I've tried to spread
just a
myself
big
out.
mistake I made, and
Yeah,
it's just
I
kind of
definitely try to spread myself out, and I look at you know what sectors I'm in, right? Make sure I'm not all in one sector. Try to spread it out. If I got too much tech on, get a consumer defense stock in there, get a material stock in there, all that kind of stuff, right? You kind of need to balance it out, because if you're all in tech and tech crashes, you're in trouble.
yeah.
So, Gerry, you grab another grab leap. I put it in an order for a grab leap this morning, and it didn't fill. I was trying to get it for $2.
I
If
have not
anybody
even heard
don't
of
know
this company.
Grab is the Southeast Asia, uh,
Oh,
kind of Uber. They're in a bunch of stuff.
okay, interesting. I looked up the stock on Google, and it says number of employees 0. I
Hey,
don't know where they're
all
getting
you need
that
is one
number.
engineer to build an app.
I don't know where they're getting that number, but
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot more.
yeah.
It's a huge thing in Southeast Asia.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's $21 billion. It's
Yeah,
not small. That's cool.
it's kind of a crappy company though. So that's one of those things, right? If you can. We were talking about, yes, you can take some little positions in things like that, right? What's going to be the next thing? That's kind of a almost perfect example of that. Is Grab. If you look it up, grab.com, I think is what it is. But are they going to grow and become the next whatever, right? They're really large over in Southeast Asia, and can they grow it? So it's okay to take a little small flyer on something like that, and that's what I did. I bought two um, January 2024 call options on those. I got about, I think, $600 invested in it, so it's not a lot of money
Yeah. For your account size, that's like
for
pretty
the
small
account
position.
size.
So,
Correct. Right.
so
Like if you only have $1,000 in your account, don't buy those.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Ryan just has a lot of questions. Thoughts on AT&T? I don't know. I'm not. I'm still not sure about it, man. I mean, I think I think they have a chance, but uh,
Have they decided what their dividend payment was going to be yet?
they haven't like stated anything specific. But I think they've stated like
I know they were
what
talking
they
about a percentage of
yeah
earnings or something like that.
they've stated like a target free cash flow payout ratio,
Right.
and I've I'm not sure if I've done the calculations. Other people have done the calculations of like what their free cash flow is expected to be after the deal or whatever, and it's probably going to be around a 50% cut, I think, is the
Yeah,
estimations.
I was hearing
So
it's gonna be kind of in line with Verizon's yield.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's still like fairly decent yield, but they just don't have like the streaming side and content side of their
Yeah,
business really,
I think I
which
don't know. I almost think that's a mistake.
yeah, because I feel like that's what's growing their business. But
That's the growth driver of the business,
yeah,
and is streaming
but
and entertainment. So I don't know. It's kind of weird.
yeah. Well, I don't know.
I
We'll
wouldn't
see
buy it.
what happens.
I just sold it actually.
Yeah. Um, I mean, honestly, it was going crazy like a few weeks ago. Like they were down at like $22, $23 or
Yeah,
something,
it was a
and
great
now
buy at
it's
22.
all the way
I don't know
back.
about now. I think we're at 27
Yeah,
now, aren't we?
yeah, it's all the way back at 27. I'm like, what's going on here? But
And I think I'm not sure. I think Dave from Hidden Freedom, I saw him post something that they lost their aristocrat status. Did they not increase? Obviously, they didn't
I'm
increase
pretty
it.
sure.
But is it already over 2 years now that they haven't increased?
I'm pretty sure. I don't think
Yeah,
they increased in 2020 or 2021 at
it's going
all.
to be interesting because you're going to lose a lot of retirees. A lot of retirees are probably going to sell out of that company.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that rely on that dividend.
yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah, they didn't increase in. Well,
Well, they could have increased in
yeah.
2020
Well, well,
and still.
they technically increased in 2020, but they did not increase in 2021 at all. So they paid the total amount paid in 2021 was the same as the total amount paid in 2020. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, then they've given
yeah,
up that they've given that up. So it
yeah.
yeah, I think a
But I
lot of
mean,
people are going to sell that.
like after the cut, it would be. I think it would. They still would have lost it because I think if there's like a spinoff or something like that, they count like the combined dividends of the two companies, and the new company isn't like projected to pay any dividends, so they would have lost
Oh,
it
wow. Interesting.
after that. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So like they would have lost it afterwards anyway. So I don't know. I guess that's not really like an excuse for them or anything, but
Yeah, it is what it is.
yeah. Thoughts on the Microsoft Activision deal? You know, it really kind of upset me because I literally recorded a video about Activision Blizzard stock that I was going to post this Saturday.
No
And
way.
yes, I did. And so, kind of like all the stuff I said about valuation doesn't really matter because we kind of like know its valuation right now.
Yeah, the valuation
And
is written in stone now.
yeah, so I'm probably going to like re record that tomorrow and just talk about like, I guess, the deal and what it means. I mean, like the financials still matter, if you don't want Microsoft buying a company with crappy financials, but you know, I
I
don't
think
know.
it's a huge deal for Microsoft.
Yeah.
I actually,
So
I think it's an awesome deal for Microsoft. I mean, they need to do something.
yeah, I mean
You
that
know,
definitely like gets them into more of the games. I didn't even know this, but they own like Activision Blizzard owns like the King, which made like Candy Crush and like a bunch of those
mm,
like phone games that are like super popular.
interesting. Yeah,
Which I
because
mean,
there's not a lot of stuff going on like on the, if you look at the top tier of our stock market, right? Who's doing what? Apple's not doing anything. Um, Amazon's just Amazon. They do whatever the hell they want. Um, Finally, Microsoft decides to buy something, so I think it's a
yeah,
good thing.
that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. This question from Kenny is actually right up your alley about income funds before retirement.
How many years before retirement, if any, would you go heavy into income funds? Um, if the numbers worked, I probably would, but the numbers don't work for me. So I'm going to be selling options. Um, like we said in the with the dividend stock thing, right? If I had a lot of money, then I can do that. But otherwise, how many years before retirement? That's kind of a hard question to answer because what's retirement, right? That could be anything to anybody. I've considered myself almost retired for the past, what year are we in? For the past 12 years, because I've had my own business and it felt like retirement to me. It didn't feel like, punching a clock, right? I went to work when I wanted to. I left when I wanted to. I took vacation when I wanted to. So I feel like I've been retired for a decade now, even though I'm still working and earning and all that. It's really, I think it's more of a mindset thing. Or, some people may think they're retired and enjoy their work, right? You may go into retirement and still work. You may enjoy doing something, right? So it's really, I don't plan on stop earning money in retirement. So that's the thing, right? I'm gonna have to earn money in retirement because I'm only 46 years old, right? So I don't have any guaranteed income. I don't have a job. I got YouTube, but that's a little bit of money every month. So I'm gonna have to sell options and make money. Now, when we go and start traveling, I'm gonna have to do that too. So, I'm gonna have to be trading options while we're traveling. Is that working still, or is that retirement? Right. So it's kind of but if I had, say, $500,000, I'd probably go pretty deep into some income funds, right? And just guarantee or lock in a bottom floor income amount every month, right? And then do some options as well to boost that as well. So it really just depends.
Yeah, what are you planning on doing? Are you gonna try to like simplify just into like some ETFs for your options, or do you have
Absolutely.
any sort of plan? I think you
Yeah,
sort of talked about that a little bit, like
I'm trying to work on that.
recently.
With the downtrend in the market, you get, sometimes when you're selling options, you get kind of stuck in them. You can't just make wholesale changes all of a sudden. I
Yeah,
mean, you can, but you'll realize a bunch of losses. So
yeah,
I'm just working through this January. It'll probably, I'll probably have to work through it and through February as well. But yes, I do plan on simplifying it down. Maybe a few indexes, maybe a, couple, 2 3 stocks that I just like, right? And try to do it that way. Like if you follow my Retire with Less series, right? All it is, um, it's trying to make $2,600 per month with a $250,000 account, and all it is selling puts on the QQQ, selling puts on the TNA, and having some money in RYLD or any. You can insert any income fund in there, and having a buttload of cash on the side. That's it. It could be very simple, but a lot of people want to make it complicated, and I've made it complicated too. By, I think at one point I had 45 positions on in my options account, and that's kind of difficult to manage and work through. So if you do it indexes, that kind of takes care of that for you.
yeah. This is a good question. Do you think the overall market's gonna turn green in the coming weeks? Uh, I don't know. I think there's a good chance it's gonna keep going down just because just seems like with the sort of macroeconomic stuff going on, interest, I mean inflation, and then basically talks of more interest rates, I guess, interest rate hikes. I think there's a good chance it's just going to keep going for a little bit. I mean, maybe not like a crash, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think we're getting close to a bounce. I think that's what we're getting close to. Um, there's people that are itching to buy into this market, and they're just waiting. So there's going to be a point where people are going to say, okay, now's the time, let's go in, and it's gonna floor out, and we're gonna might head to the races. Now we're gonna have some bumps along the way, when they start announcing interest rate hikes and stuff like that. I think there's just going to be a lot of volatility this year. I think that's what this year is going to be. But do I think the market's going to continue a lot lower from here? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. I saw someone sort of talking about this in the options Discord, which I'm sure someone can post a link for that if anyone wants to join. But basically, they were pointing out like there's so many companies, arguably like lower quality companies that have just fallen like massively in the past few months.
Yeah.
And the market's just kind of being held up per se by like the super big companies like Apple and Amazon, or because those just control the market so much more. So those companies could like rebound some, and
Yeah, there's
that makes
there's a
sense.
lot of rotation going into value. We talked about it a
Yeah,
couple of streams ago. Me and Dave did. Um, you know, my thought was this year was going to be yield and value. I think that's where people are going, but there's going to be a point. Um, I think that people are going to start buying up some of these growth names that have fallen. Because like you said, there's a lot of them that are sitting 50% down. A lot of them, but they were people that
probably
there were companies
overextended
that
too.
benefited from companies that benefited from the March
Yeah,
2020 shutdowns. So they gave them extremely high valuations, right? So
yeah,
we got to see where they correct to. Peloton, for example, right? That company's I
yeah,
haven't even looked at a chart, but there's no rhyme or reason that it was trading at where it was trading at, just because you know uh, a, a rush of people went and bought uh, their item. They're not going to get that same rush anymore. It's just not going to
yeah,
happen. The demand for their product is going to go essentially way down. I mean, they're not going to go out of business, but
yeah.
they're not going to the track that they went on from March 2020 to the peak was uncalled for.
Yeah, Peloton is an interesting one because to me, just from listening to people talk, there's like just like two complete opposites. Just some people say, "Oh, it's just a bike with an iPad," and then the other people are like so excited about it, and like the people that are super excited about like the product and stuff. I guess my like thought is that most of those people probably already own it, right? And then so the people that aren't excited aren't going to buy it. So I don't know. I'm sure they've thought about that and are doing
Yeah, I
bidding
haven't
about
I
that.
haven't checked I haven't checked Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, but if you see a bunch of those on there, yeah, there's probably going to be some. If you want to buy one, check Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, because I guarantee you
Yeah,
there's going to be some on there.
yeah, that's true. But I think they probably have some like subscription stuff too. I just
Yeah, and that's where you know the thought is, as far as revenue growth and revenue generation, because they just can't continue to sell these overpriced bicycles, and that's not a good model for continuing revenue stream, right? Because it's just, I don't know. I don't like the company, as you can probably tell.
yeah, I don't really like it that much either. There's a question here about um, dividend stocks that are fairly valued. And I would have just said Activision Blizzard, but not anymore. I mean, I guess it's at fair value now, but not really undervalued. Um, one that, well, I don't. I would say J.P. Morgan is probably like at a pretty decent valuation right now.
They've fallen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one I definitely. I think I bought some a day or two ago, but they're definitely solid. Oh dang, down 12% in a week. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the bank
Not
stocks
sure.
are good. Yeah. Some of the
Yeah,
financials are good. Look at insurance. We talked about that a couple weeks ago too. Look at insurance stocks. Um,
yeah,
Great yields, good cash cow machines in insurance. Um, Food stocks, I don't know. They're kind of boring. Probably not a whole ton of growth there.
yeah.
Um, I don't
Trying to
know.
look here. There's definitely something else I was looking at recently. Um,
Intel.
yeah, yeah. Intel. I don't know, man. Intel is an interesting one. I'm sure Dave could tell us some good things about Intel,
The
but
market hates it. The
yeah,
market hates it, and it's like produces gobs of freaking cash. The
yeah,
market hates it. If the market hates it, that's usually a time to buy stuff.
yeah. It's just been consistently that way for a few years, it
Right.
seems,
Right.
which is,
It's
I mean, that's definitely a little scary, but yeah. Oh, this is the one I meant to talk about. Store Capital. Um, that's one of the
yeah.
REITs I own. I think they're at a pretty good price right now.
Store
So
capital, Stag. I don't know what they're doing, but we definitely need industrial warehouse storage for whenever they decide to offload container ships.
yeah, here's Dave going off.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give it time. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's true
freaking
too.
it's look, as far as a dividend is concerned, right? I don't even know their dividend growth rate, but I think it's pretty good. Um, Look, you want to buy dividend stocks when they're cheap, and you'd like to keep buying them when they're cheap, as long as they're performing, as long as they're increasing their dividend year in and year out. I wouldn't care how long it took.
Yeah,
If they're selling at $55 right now, whatever it is, I don't know what it is, um, and they stayed $55 for 10 years, but they grew the dividend 10% every year.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Why you want it to go to 80 and they're only growing their
yeah,
dividend by
exactly.
10%? You're going to buy it at
Because
80?
yeah, yeah, and yeah, give it time. That's definitely true. I mean, it takes a long time to turn a big ship, so that's definitely a valid point there.
They
And it's a
definitely
$200 billion company, so
yeah, I mean, the market thinks that AMD is going to eat its lunch. I just don't see it.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm not even a big tech guy.
Ryan's been buying Starbucks. You know, I don't know why. I've just never really been interested in Starbucks stock. Doesn't.
I'm not a Starbucks guy at all.
I guess it's just because I'm not interested in their drinks, really.
Yeah, I am selling Dutch Bros puts. Now, if you don't know Dutch Bros, they got growth potential in a big way. They're more of the, if you look at Starbucks, right? Starbucks is kind of the, I don't know, how would you describe the customer base? More corporate? I don't know.
Yeah,
It has that feel, right? More suit and tie type.
more like
Um,
upper middle class.
yeah, Dutch Bros is more of like the hippie millennial, hipster, torn up jeans, that type of customer base. And I think that Dutch Bros they're really small still, and the growth potential of that, if they can expand into the rest of the country, is absolutely massive. So it's like, we got Dutch Bros here, with a Starbucks right across the street, and Dutch Bros is way more packed than the Starbucks is. Way more. Not even close.
So I'm gonna be completely honest with you. You have always been You've been talking about like Dutch Bros in your videos, like you're selling options on them or whatever. I think I was getting that confused with Hasbro. I thought that was a gaming company or like that made games.
No, BROS. Dave has it right. BROS. I have a 40 put and a 35 right now. I think they came out IPO'd at 30, maybe 35. I
Okay.
think, I mean, their PE is probably going to be high. Hopefully they're, expanding and got a good growth. I haven't read any of I don't do that. I don't read freaking earnings reports and stuff like
Oh,
that.
they just IPO'd recently. Okay, I did
Yeah,
not
they
know
just
that.
IPO'd recently. I've been wondering about it too, because they've expanded. Um, Not huge. That they're not like Starbucks where they'll put a store on every freaking corner, right? Like I literally within 1 mile of my house, I think I have 6 Starbucks. They're not like that.
Yeah.
They'll strategically put one here. They'll put one over there. They'll put one over there. There's like 4 or 5 of them here. Um, and this is a town of 500,000. So uh, I think there's probably 100 Starbucks here. So it's they're the profit of the stores, I think, helps. I think the smaller footprint like that helps the profit of the stores, because think of being a franchise owner of a Starbucks, and Starbucks has 5 other ones within a mile of you. That would
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 2 or 3 Starbucks like on the University of Cincinnati campus, and there's one like on the street that is like directly next to the university.
Yeah, it's nuts. I
So,
mean, I'm just saying, I'm not Starbucks. I mean, it's a money generating company, right? They're worldwide and all that, but where's the growth? Do they still have growth opportunities? I guess if you think they're going to go into, I don't know, emerging markets, something like that, like in Africa, you know, um, I don't know. But you look at Dutch Bros, and it's, literally in maybe 16 states, and that's it. They got a lot more growth ahead of them. So
yeah,
that's why I like Dutch
that
Bros.
makes sense to me.
But this is not financial advice.
Yes. Yeah. So, I guess we can talk about your like investments more. You mostly are, like you said, trading options. So, and that's kind of like on your road to retire, I guess. So, are you like still contributing like new capital to your portfolio, and how are you managing that side of things?
No, so I don't make any money. I do contribute, the YouTube earnings into my M1 Finance account every month, and that's invested in QQQM and QYLD. So um, right around 300 to 350 bucks a month goes into that every single month, and that's the only new capital that I'm contributing to anything right now. Um, I'm actually working on, as soon as we get a correction in the market, I'm working on actually consolidating a lot of stuff, because I got a Roth IRA. I got 2 Roth IRAs. I got a brokerage account. My wife also has an M1 Finance account. I really would like to get that consolidated down into one account. So I would literally have my options account, my one brokerage account, and my M1 finance account. So three. I got like seven as it is right now. I'd like to get
Yeah.
it down to three. It's a little bit easier to manage. So that's what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, I know how that is. I just have a bunch of accounts, and I mean, to me, I like it to be able to like kind of split my investments into like categories and just mentally think about them separately. But yeah,
Yeah, and that's kind of what I would do. That's kind of what I do now because my options account, sometimes I'll get assigned stock in it, but I try to avoid it as much as I
yeah,
can. So that's going to be options. My M1 finance is going to be those two ETFs I just said, and I don't even pay attention to that. I only look at that once a month when I have to make the deposit. And then my Fidelity, my brokerage account, will be mainly probably a lot of cash. I haven't decided yet. I don't know whether I'm going to get into an income fund with that money because it's going to be fairly significant. Not fairly significant, but I need to do something so that cash is just not sitting,
yeah,
which
that
a
makes
lot of
sense.
cash is just sitting right now, not doing anything for me. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely like try to not keep a ton of cash, but at the same time, you gotta have some on hand. And I mean, I guess with you, it's a little different because you sort of have your options account that's pretty much all cash.
right,
But
that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm pretty much, with my wife's M1 finance and my M1 finance that the YouTube money goes into. You're talking, that's pretty much it, right? I got maybe, like I said, 10-15% of my total net worth in that, and that's it. Everything else is
yeah,
essentially cash. There is, some assigned stocks in my options account, but for the most part, it's mostly all cash. So
yeah,
it would be nice to have it. But I haven't. I'm working on a plan right now. I'll reveal it in my February net worth update, which is going to be freaking ugly. I can tell you that right now. Where the market's down like 10%, right? So it's going to be ugly. Um, but I'm working on a plan on how I'm going to live life while living on the options income, and that's going to be interesting because you can't. It's a real delicate balance because you don't want to. My thinking is you don't want to rely on options income, but you're saying, hey, you're going to live on options income, yeah, but you don't want to have the pressure
yeah,
of
exactly.
of especially in options. You don't want to have the pressure of saying, ooh, I got to make X amount this month to pay my bills. You don't
Yeah,
want that. You don't want that because you can make really bad decisions under that kind of pressure. So I'm trying to alleviate that pressure from me, and we'll talk about that in the February update when I work it all out.
yeah. I mean, that's just like essentially just getting your emotions involved, and it's never gonna work too well when that happens. So
Yeah, you got to remove the emotions and as much as you possibly can. Especially, I mean, you have to be able to deal with, 10% down. Options are in the money, and you got to end up rolling things, and you're realizing losses. Your unrealized losses is growing, and you have to be able to navigate that and not panic. Because when I first started, I started in November 2020, I believe it was, and I did a very good job trading options November and December. Like, I mean, I made like 15% November and like 16% in December, which is like
yeah,
it's like unreal. I mean, it's like unheard of type gains.
yeah,
Um, but I had no idea what I was doing. I was
Yeah.
just clicking buttons, click, 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 buy, sell, buy, and it was working, right? So I thought, okay, this is easy. I could just sit here
And
and
then
click
that
buttons.
just inflates your confidence and
Exactly. And so January came around and something went completely haywire and I lost it all. Not all my all account, but all the gains. I lost it all. And it was like, okay, let's look, and I panicked. I panicked and sold out. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to roll things, how to manage the position. I had no idea what I was doing. So I panicked, sold out, gave up all those gains. Um, Now I'm glad that happened because I was able to look back and examine, okay, what could I have done? What did I do wrong? Okay, why why is it that I was just clicking buttons for 2 months and making huge money, and then this month, it gave it all back, right? So
yeah.
I'm glad it happened because it was able to teach you a lesson, and I think that's some of the best lessons, right? Is when you get your butt beat and you really get defeated and deflated. I
Yeah.
think you can really, as long as you're strong-willed enough, you can really look back. Anything in life, right? You can look back and say, okay, how did I react? Why did I react? Why did it happen? How can I fix it? How can I correct it going forward and not get myself in that position? And if I do get in that position, what can I do about it? So I think
Yeah.
that was a very, very good lesson.
Yeah.
Januaries are bad for me because I'm having a bad January too, again.
Well, I mean, some people would probably just like blame it on the market or something and then not learn. So I mean, it's really like that's sort of important too, is like being able to have that accountability a little bit. And
Right. I mean, you gotta, most people would have, um, if it had that January, right, they would have just walked away and said, you know what, forget this stuff, I'm done, and never would have touched options again, right? I was able to get back in and end up making, 22%, almost matching SPY for the year,
yeah,
even though I was down 15%, 16% in January. That's a that's a big turnaround. Um, so yeah, getting your butt whooped is probably a great lesson.
yeah, it is for sure. Happens to the best of us sometimes, and just gotta learn from it. Yeah, um, that's
I see this comment up here
about
by
all I
Dave. It
had.
says
Oh,
young people don't like IBM and Intel. Is that true?
oh yeah. Well, I don't know if he means like just the stock or like their products or something.
Probably both actually.
Oh, okay. I think I think younger people probably don't like both the stocks as much, at least um, compared to other stuff maybe. But uh, I think Intel like chips, are still like pretty popular. Like most of the computers, I mean, aside from like Apple's new computers, most computers, like laptops and stuff like that, have Intel chips for the most part and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't really know much about IBM at all, but uh,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Last time I was exposed to IBM, I think I was in like third grade or something. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it looks like Matt's here.
Matt Money,
Yeah, showed up.
Matt
But
Money, GMI gonna make it.
GMI, what's that?
Gonna
Oh,
make it.
oh,
He says NGMI not gonna make it, but I just dropped the N.
oh, oh, okay. Yeah, apparently Dave thinks I'm more mature, but we can talk about that later.
I would say so. As far as as far as uh I don't know. I guess we talk about it in generalities. I guess we're generalizing a little too much, possibly, right? But I think so. I think he's right.
Yeah, let's get to 1,000. Getting pretty close, honestly. Been doing well the past few weeks, past month or two. So we'll see where it goes. Been steady progress. We'll see.
It's a grind. YouTube is a grind. People
Yeah,
don't realize, a lot of people, some people, right? They'll say YouTube isn't a job, right? They say, "Oh, go get a real job." Like, dude, this is this is work. This is
yeah. I see
actual
you.
work.
You've been making a lot of videos recently.
Yeah, I have, and it's actually those have been easy videos, but you know, the main videos, Saturday videos, they're kind of like work,
Yeah,
because YouTube, it doesn't just end with making the video, editing the video, uploading the video, adding all the descriptions, sharing it at all the social medias, replying to comments, replying to social media comments, all that stuff. It's not, just record a video and put it on YouTube. It's not like that.
yeah. It's definitely a. It's sort of like well, I guess you're sort of like have your like personal brand to some degree, and you're just kind of like building everything around that, So
Yeah.
you have to be on like all the social medias and talk to people and all
Yep.
that kind of
Unless I
stuff.
mean, unless you hit the YouTube lottery and they decide to push your
Yeah,
video out and you end up, with 1 million subscribers, then you can just sit back and collect money.
yeah,
But for the most part, for most of the grinding YouTube creators out there, it's work for very little reward. It's not passive income whatsoever.
yeah,
um, Even though people say, "Oh, that passive income," no, YouTube is not anything close to passive income. Especially when you're considering as a monetized channel, you get about a penny a view.
yeah,
So, and for all the time that you put in, you're not. It's not making a lot of money, especially the smaller channels like myself. And like when you get there to 1,000, it's not, it's going to be like, oh, I only got $2 for that video.
yeah, yeah. I was talking to my parents the other day, and they were like, I don't know if they think it's dumb, but they were trying to, I guess, make sure that I was putting my time towards something like that wasn't just a waste of time, I guess.
I
So
don't think
like,
it's I don't think it's I
yeah,
don't think it's dumb. Especially if you enjoy it, if you enjoy the
yeah,
community, you enjoy the topics you're talking about. Um, if you can be consistent and grow over the years and just do it because you enjoy it, um, eventually, it's going to pay you a little bit of money, right? So I don't think there's
yeah.
anything wrong with it at all. Um,
And honestly, like for me, I think if YouTube was just like you just like record a video and then you edit it and then you post it and then you just go on to the next one. If it was like that and you didn't like get to know people or like talk to people at all, like I don't think I would really enjoy it.
it wouldn't be as enjoyable. No,
What's
absolutely.
like I mean, yeah, like making the videos and some that stuff that's like kind of interesting and kind of fun, but it's a lot more I guess rewarding to be able to like talk to people and like obviously like some of the people here get to know them a little bit and
Yeah,
uh,
you connect
have
for
sort of a
sure. And
connection. Yeah,
it's really it's especially when you get those loyal viewers, right? That actually, because as someone on this end, it's like, why are you interested in what I'm saying,
yeah,
right? It's like it doesn't make sense to you as the creator. Why, but you look forward to those people commenting on your videos. You really do. And it really makes it worth it. Like, oh man, they watched, they left the comment, or they had a question, they really liked it, or anything like that, right? It's that confirmation, and you end up really looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I forget what I was about to say, but sort of related to that. Yeah, I definitely think the connection is good, and just being able to talk to people and stuff like that. It's like Bill was here. Thanks for joining.
Blue Collar Bill.
Yes,
Bill. Look him up on probably Twitter.
on Twitter,
and,
yeah.
And he has a
It's like a blog.
blog. He has a
Website.
blog. Go check out his blog. It's really interesting. Shares his portfolio and all the stuff he's doing. So really nice blog.
Well, probably about it for today. I don't know if anyone has any other questions or wants to say anything. Gerry, just want to remind everyone, obviously you're on like Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, Facebook.
Twitter being my absolute least favorite.
Yeah.
I cannot figure out Twitter. The interface is just not, it's not user friendly to me. I'm just an old school kind of guy. I want to see a reply, and I want to see all the replies below it, and a lot of Twitter kind of like hides the replies, or you have to click on the post to see all the replies, and then you don't see all the replies. It's weird. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't really like Twitter that much. I just feel like I see a lot of people kind of getting like traction on there, so I just feel like I need to like be active there and like talk to people and try to be active.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
doesn't hurt. That's for sure.
All right. Well, everyone, make sure to go follow Gerry on all those platforms. Thanks so much, Gerry, for coming on and talking about some of your investment strategies, and just talking to everyone here this evening. And we'll see you later.
No problem. See you guys.